All right, welcome to the final portion of my talk, and my goal is for it not to last more than a few minutes. And here I will just outline a couple of future directions that I am planning. So first of all, I just want to reiterate what I said at the end of part one, that there are some pretty big questions regarding what is essential and what is incidental to the specific formalisms that we work with. That certainly constitutes an area of big interest, in my opinion, but that is too big to be actually put on a slide and formulated as a specific research question. So let me just say for now that as ultimately I think NLP relies on indispensable systematized human knowledge, it would be great if we could systematize more and in a more robust fashion. For example, in the form of implemented grammars such as the English resource grammar, which has become clearly more preferable, for example, as a mode of production for target representations, for semantic parsing. And it is clearly more robust than something like the Prague semantic dependencies bank, just because you don't need to re-annotate by hand. And I think it would be a great long-term investment if we created such resources as the ERG, the English Resource Grammar for more languages. It does take time and effort, but is probably worth it in the long run. So I didn't put it on the slide, but I am planning right now a collaboration with some of my Delphin colleagues on bigger and better Slavic grammars, and as well as the grammars of Romance languages, in particular Spanish and Portuguese. But in the meanwhile, I wanted to talk about something else briefly, and that is natural language processing for grammar coaching and what role grammars could play there. So there are various systems for grammar coaching. Here, I think I have a screenshot from Grammarly, the Grammarly product for grammar coaching. So they will highlight things where the system thinks you have a grammar mistake, and then it will try to make a suggestion. Now, such systems, when they are statistically trained, they are not always precise, right? They can fairly easily make a ridiculous suggestion, such as illustrated here. And even if you add more training data and you sort of avoid making silly mistakes like this, you still probably, it's less clear to what degree you can help the user with explaining what they did wrong, or rather what they could do better. And people have tried incorporating the so-called L2 productions, so productions characteristic of non-native speakers. People have tried incorporating those into implemented grammars, and then mapping, so recognizing those productions by parsing and mapping them to some kind of useful feedback, to something that we know about the grammar of the target language, and how to map this particular error, or this type of error, how to map it to something useful that we could say about the grammar. And such systems already exist for Chinese and English. There's some literature cited here. And as my next step, I am planning to do something similar for Spanish and Galician with colleagues from University of A Coruña, whom I'm joining as a postdoc later this year. So we will start with Spanish and Galician. Here you can see an example of what an L2 production might be in the context of Spanish-speaking. No, this would be an English-speaking learner of Spanish, I guess. or vice versa. Sorry, I guess I'm tired and I cannot really think of what this picture represents precisely. No, let's do it. A gray cat, that's an English production, right? So we would have a learner of Spanish here who incorrectly positioned the modifier. Right, so something like that could be recognized as a non-native style production, and it could be very easily explained to the user in some way. So that's the goal, and I think that this could be an exciting avenue of demonstrating the usefulness of implemented grammars to NLP as sort of a small step on the way of perhaps adopting them in a wider range of applications. So that concludes my talk. And to summarize, I talked in these 4 parts about how formal approaches to syntax are a part of both linguistics and natural language processing, and how fully explicit formalisms like HPSG allow us to implement our hypotheses about grammatical knowledge, about grammar, on the computer and rigorously test them. And I provided you with an example of an analysis of multiple fronting, which I integrated into a typologically diverse system of analyses. And then I concluded with talking about how this kind of grammars are important for robust NLP evaluation, and also how they can increase precision in natural language processing applications, such as grammar checking, and how it would be great if we could do it for more languages, even if it is a long-term investment. And so in the future, I hope we will continue to encode knowledge this way for multiple languages, thus assembling the fragments of our understanding of human language. Thank you very much for listening to my somewhat long presentation, and I'm looking forward to getting more questions from you.